Epicureanism was a school of philosophy in ancient Greece. Its followers lived in a secluded garden. They passed their time by watering the plants and watching the butterflies flutter. And they were badass rebels. Seriously. What? You don't think butterflies are badass? Then buckle up and get jazzed for some ancient philosophy time. With an unqualified student as your teacher. The school was founded by Epicurus, who looked like this. Okay, he looks a little grouchy, but hey, if you thought school photos were bad, imagine standing there for a whole month while a sculptor says, Epicurus, tilt your head a little to the left, a little more. Yeah, okay, keep it there. You would look grouchy too. So anyways, ignoring his seemingly grouchy sculpture, Epicurus, like all the other Hellenistic schools, just wanted to be happy. And he thought that the way to be happy was to pursue pleasure, that pleasure is the goal of life. But don't get me wrong, he wasn't thinking of like crazy rich, eat beluga caviar on your mansion boat pleasure. Just simple pleasures, like bread and water. At most, maybe a blanket, if it's cold outside. You see, Epicurus thought that excessive or unnatural pleasures, like a rich person's passion for beluga caviar, were ultimately mixed with pain. So for example, let's say you are crazy rich, and for some reason you're in the mood for beluga caviar. So you go to your favorite fishmonger, and they say, sorry bro, we're all out. You might be really sad, you might be disappointed, you might even be angry at whatever asshole took all the beluga caviar before you. And none of that is pleasant. And remember, pleasure is the goal of life. So Epicurus thought that you should avoid unnatural pleasures like this. You should strive only to eradicate all your pain. This will get you something called static pleasure. And no, not static pleasure. It's more like when you're lying in a field and there's a beautiful sky and your butt is not even wet because you are sitting on your friend's jacket. You're not hungry, you're not tired, you don't want anything. You just exist. Sounds pretty sweet, right? But is it enough to be life goals? It's debatable. It is pretty different from how we think about our lives today. You might even call it radically different. But maybe you're not convinced yet. So let's take Hollywood movies as an example of how we think about our lives today. Basically, a protagonist wants something, desperately, but they can't get it. And eventually, after some suffering and some conflict, which teaches them about life, they gain the skills, and they overcome the obstacle, and they get what they want, and they live happily ever after. And then the movie makes millions, and the rich film director gets to buy all the beluga caviar before you do. That asshole. So anyways, our modern myths tell us both that we are driven by desires, and that we become better people as a result of our pain. Meanwhile, Epicurus says that you should just eradicate all your strong desires. They'll just hurt you in the end. And that pain is just painful rather than a route to self-growth. So an Epicurean protagonist might look like this. This is Aubrey. He wants to be the head cheerleader, but despite his obvious pizzazz, nobody wants to vote for him. Poor Aubrey. So what does Aubrey do? Does he work hard, overcome obstacles, and prove everyone wrong by fulfilling his dreams?
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
No. Because Aubrey is an Epicurean, he says, I don't need anything more than bread and water to be happy. And he does nothing. At all. Maybe he'll plant a garden. He might, watch some butterflies, but he will not bother trying to be head cheerleader. And what kind of a hero is that? Well, that kind of hero is a true rebel. He rejected the basic premise that he even needed to suffer, or that he needed to fulfill his desires to be happy. Instead, he was just happy. And sure, a person like this might not make for the most interesting of film characters, but movies aren't ordinary. They're filled with dragons and superheroes and attractive people, all of which do not exist in real life. Epicureanism is not meant for the movies, it's meant for ordinary people. Not just people who get upset over beluga caviar, but also for people who get upset when you drop your phone, or when the cafe line is too long, or when you don't know the Wi-Fi password. So maybe we need to be a little more rebellious, and just be happy. Maybe we can just go water some plants and watch some butterflies. Like the true badasses of ancient Greece.